yo, Teal the Stat, Rail Raw and Uncut, we done teamed up, a podcast for the community, hard as an uppercut with that real news, upside your headpiece, informing you with that real stuff, with the how, why, who wins and what's a reality, making it clear cut. Truth will set you free, unfiltered and no bluff, no fluff. You kid or rebut, don't be bewildered. Don't agree with the cause, great, you can speak up. Wednesdays at 8, hit the comments up, talk your stuff, set it straight. We learn more from each other in this information age. Institutions will leave you lost and awestruck. So listen up, you'll be compelled. Maybe you'll find yourself stuck on what you thought was real. But them gems I'm dropping on this program may just appeal to your appetite for info. This the intro to reveal. Get your info on YouTube for your feel. From AM to PM it's popping, so sit back and chill. Nobody doing it like this man on this podcast. It's for real. It's Rail Raw and Uncut. Rail Raw and Uncut. Wednesdays at 8. AM.
Welcome everybody, whether you're listening to this on your way to work, whether you're listening to this on your lunch break, or whether you're listening to this on the way to bed at night. This is the Rail Raw and Uncut podcast. And first off, before I get to my special guest tonight, I want to give a special shout out to T.O. Lestat for the intro. I appreciate it. Met the brother. He's a real good dude. I interviewed him. He's from Arizona. We chopped it up. He did the intro. I did the photo editing and all that stuff. So I want to give him a special shout out. So shout out to T.O. Lestat. I appreciate you. So speaking of special guests now, I met this man a couple weeks ago because he kind of roasted me at a retirement party, but it's cool though. It's all right though. It's a comedian out of New Jersey, Mr. Ty Raney. How are you doing, man?
Thank you, Rel. I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. My pleasure. My pleasure. I appreciate you. Your comedic timing and getting me was impeccable, and I tried to hide and it didn't work, and you caught me out the corner, and that was just what it was. And,
I don't remember. That night was like a blur. Did I get you? I don't know.
Nah, you got me. We did the little high five for being only kid. So yeah, you caught me.
There you go. Yeah. That's right. That's why you got a podcast.
Yeah. Right. I should have named it the Only Kid Podcast.
Yeah, hey, don't take my name. That's about to be my rebranding.
Too late. 10%. I charge you 10% for every time you use it. How about that?
I'll get another name. Then I ain't giving nobody no percentage, man.
Here we go. How's everything going with you, man? How you doing tonight?
Everything's good, man. I'm blessed. I can't complain, man.
That's good, man.
Just keeping busy, trying to keep busy as possible. If it's not with comedy, is with the family and stuff. So I'm blessed, thankful, man.
That's good. Family first, always.
Absolutely.
So let's start. I got some info on you, but I want to get into the fact of how did you get into the whole comedy thing?
It's funny. Comedy. I've always been passionate about comedy. Always liked it. Always been a fan of comedy. Kind of grew up like the class clown, per se. But the person that actually got me into it was my wife. And it was right before we got married. My wife enrolled me in a comedy class. Mm-hmm. And the comedy class kind of started right after our honeymoon. So once we got back from the honeymoon, my wife was like, hey, I enrolled you in a comedy class. It's for 3 months and it starts on Monday. And it was like that weekend. So she kind of just threw me in it. She was just kind of tired of me just being funny around the house and all this stuff and just admiring it from afar. And I guess sometimes people can see other things inside of you that you may not see. And she got the ball rolling. And after that, I got the itch and kept doing it.
Speaking of getting the ball rolling too, I gotta give a shout out to my fiance who was with me at that retirement party, because she was the one that when you gave me the card, she was like, take his card and use it. And I was like, I'm not using it. He just cut ass on me. So she was like, no, you can use it for an interview. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I was like, see, this is why I put a ring on your finger. This is the little things like that.
It's a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So she's the reason why this interview is going on. So I have to give a special shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to the fiance.
Yeah, shout out to Marty. Yes, I got to give it to her, definitely.
Yes,
Because she
nice.
definitely was like, yo, take the car to interview him. And I was like, well, oh, yeah. Like a light bulb just switched. Just went off.
Another guest. See, she's trying to think for you. She's helping you progress, brother. That's what we need. That's what we need. Sisters that support and help. Yeah.
You popular, so you might be the most famous one I got so far on my podcast. So,
What? Get out of here. Hey, man, I'm not famous. I'm just trying to get more viewers or more followers than my son. That's all. And he's 16. That's all I want. I don't want all the fame.
Listen, I don't think that's going to happen for neither one of us. For some odd reason, the social media world and podcasting and all that stuff seems to be more geared to the younger kids. They kind of know how to develop such a bigger following than we ever could.
Yeah, and I think it has something to do with the engagement, as far as how much they actually are on these little devices and what draws their attention. Because I mean, I'm in my mid 40s, you know what I mean? So it seems like a lot of my following is like they're going to bed right now, man. You know what I mean? It's late at night. They're always asking me, yo, you got any like brunch shows? You should do brunch shows. And, I don't mind doing brunch shows because I love good brunch and I don't mind getting to bed early. So, you just know your target audience, but it grows. People start to find you and seek you out. Once your audience starts to get towards a certain number, and time zones help too. We're on the East Coast, so some of the people on the West Coast and make it seem like they're staying up later when they're just older and in different time zones, so they have an advantage. So you got to work. You got to play your angles where you can play them, man.
Listen, it's all about strategic movements.
Yeah, man, that's absolutely correct.
So I have to ask, so I took a look at your bio. How was the interaction with being on Kevin Hart's show?
Oh, it was excellent, man. It was one of those moments where you pinch me, is this really happening?
How was the process in that, by the way, to even get there?
Oh man, it was you had to audition. At least I was doing an audition at this place called 78 Lounge, and I remember there's a woman by the name of Tina. Jesus Christ, I'm going blank. I'm going blank on her name. Tina. I forget her last name. I'm going blank. But Tina is like the godmother of black comedy for Jersey. So she's responsible of a lot of or behind the scenes of a lot of comedian success, like Bill Bellamy, Mike Epps. Just to name a few, Michael Blackson, maybe, I don't know, but everybody kind of knows Tina in Jersey. I sorry, Tina, I forgot your goddamn Tina Graham. Tina Graham, damn, there you go. Tina Graham. Everybody
all it took for you to say it was goddamn to remember the G's matched.
Yeah, see what I mean? So it was a talent show, or it was an audition that I did there, 78 Lounge, and worked out. Got a call from one of Kevin's boys, John. I forgot his last name too, but John called me up. And they had the night all recorded. So he saw me on the tape, like what they saw, hit me up on the phone. At first, I didn't believe it. I thought they were pranking me, but he called me up. It was legit. And from there, we got the ball rolling. Recorded that in New Jersey in this club called Jacksonville in Paterson, New Jersey, Main Street in Paterson, New Jersey. So that was in 2000, I want to say 14, 15. When that happened. So it was a couple years ago, but it was definitely one of those moments in my career where I was like, wow, this was I could say this is something that I had on my vision board as far as getting trying to get television credit. And I think for a lot of entertainers and comedians especially, I know we all try to strive to get some kind of television credit. And that was one of my goals in comedy, getting into it. Since I got into it, I was like, you know what, I'd like to see if I can get on television. And with the help of my wife and putting together a nice vision board, and just with support and encouragement and just staying focused to the task, I was able to fulfill that. And it just kind of happened. I wrote it down, I focused on it and prayed on it and made my moves towards it, and came to fruition, man.
Listen, everybody has to start somewhere, and that's a big accomplishment. Not so many people can say they made it to that part.
Nah, I'm thankful for that, man. Very thankful.
So with the help of your wife helping you get started pretty much into your comedy career,
Mm-hmm.
and with family being so supportive, my question I have to ask you: how hard is it to not, or is it? Do you crack jokes on your family every chance you get, or is there a turn off button?
Um, hey, you know what? I don't think there is a turn off button per se. I think the jokes are cracked when they're seen when they seem fitting.
Hmm.
I try to monitor and be mindful and not to be over the top with joking all the damn time. Because after a while they're like, all right, you're gonna have to shut up. It becomes obnoxious. Even to me, after a while, it's like, all right, you see opportunities, you gotta let some of that stuff pass. So I have I do kind of cut it off a little bit, you know. Yeah, but I can say I'm more activated around people in the social environment. So it's hard to cut that side of me off because that's part of my personality. But I try to be mindful of it and monitor it so it doesn't get out of hand and get under, people's skin, and rub them the wrong way.
Hmm. I mean, but they have to understand, like, it's not you don't mean anything by it. It's just almost like
Sometimes
you
I
just
do.
practice. Oh,
No, I'm
I
just
was gonna
messing
say,
around. Nah.
I was gonna say it's almost like you're just practicing your craft 24/7.
You know what? It's like muscle memory. So
Hmm.
and it's communication. The way I look at it is just communicating. And it is like a muscle memory, and it is like a feeling I feel with comedy with me personally. It's more of an internal feeling that puts you in a mindset to comment and observe and be witty and kind of be in the moment and where you're capturing everything. I think everyone has those periods where they feel like they're on, and I think where when you're a comedian, you want to constantly find that pocket where you can get in and out and be on when you need to be, when there's a show or when there's an event, when it's called for, when there's an event like this, a podcast, and there's certain banter going back and forth. So us doing that, it's like a car just kind of idling, keeping the engine running, keeping it warm. So when I am kind of cutting up on the family and joking around, that's just me keeping the engine warm. And also, that's like layup lines. It's almost like
Hmm.
going to an open mic and testing out new material. So sometimes I may weave some material into some of the jokes I'm cracking on a family member or a friend of mine, or a situation may come up that someone's experienced, and I'll make a comment on that. And that could be something that I could piece together later and share with an audience, So
Hmm.
I'm also a filter. So I'm absorbing everything that's around me, and I'm experiencing it. Excuse me, in real time. So it's the moment right there is hard to cut off, but you want the feeling of that moment to last and carry you on to your stage. So when you recall a joke and you recall a story, you go back to that almost muscle memory of when that joke was told to you or when that story came to you,
Hmm.
and you can present it in a way where it's fresh and people think it kind of blurs the line of being prep material and, oh, this guy's really living that, you know what I mean? And you are, but it kind of makes the communication a little bit better when you're addressing the crowd and the audience, I feel personally.
Mm. Oh, yeah, makes
That's
sense.
how I look at it. I mean, I probably overthink it because that's my shirt right now. Overthinking it. That's my shirt. It says overthinking. So I'm probably overthinking it, but that's just how I analyze shit.
Well, I mean, look, sometimes the best people are the ones who overthink things. Kind of make sure you kind of like cross your T's and dot your I's and try to
Yeah.
make sure everything is perfect. But I mean, we all know nothing's perfect, but you try to
No.
just do the best you can.
Yeah, because I care. I care about my craft.
Hmm.
I do care, and I not I care about the people that wants to enjoy it too. So I try to
So,
look at all of it.
what you said, mentioning about open mics and stuff, have
Yeah.
you ever had a situation where you bombed on stage?
Oh yeah, man.
I mean, how
Yeah.
bad was it?
It was bad enough to to remember.
Yeah.
But I mean, any kind of bomb is a learning lesson. But you try not to have too many. That's the
Hmm.
key. You try not to have too many bombs. I'm fortunate enough not to have too many bombs. But I can say the times where I didn't do so well, and I don't even want to say bomb, I want to say didn't connect so well with the audience, is probably a time where I can say personally not in the moment, probably not being genuine, probably trying to chase the crowd for a laugh instead of just sticking to what I normally do, you know, and pulling them into my world. I can kind of see the faults of what happens when I do have a bad set, whether it be a bomb or just a rough night. But I think that actually it makes you better as a comedian. You know, you need to have those moments where you have those rough nights and you got to go back at it the next night, or you got to go back at it later on that night, you know, so you got to have that kind of mentality, like shake it off. I mean, we've all been to a place or said something in an atmosphere or with a friend where it wasn't funny and your friends look at you like, nigga, that was corny. It's just on a bigger scale. And you just gotta wipe it off and just keep it going and go on to the next, you know, because the worst thing to happen is to freeze up and, you know, kind of allow people to get into that space and get into your head. So, you know, when you are bombing, either you push forward, plow through it, or you pull the cord and you know, jump ship, you know. But I recommend plowing through it. It's funny as hell watching some people bomb. It's hard, but it's funny sometimes. But it's difficult to watch because you know how it feels, and you know how difficult comedy is, and you know it's, you know, but it's a learning lesson in it. So I feel there's some good in bombing. I just try not to do it. That's it. That's my thing.
Have you ever bombed at a place and then went back and then the crowd was totally different?
Yeah, I've been places where I haven't done so well on one night compared to another, and you know, like I said, it could be a couple of variables. It could be a younger crowd, and I could have missed something and just kind of jumped into something that was going to make a connection between me and the younger crowd. It could be, you know, a rowdy drunk ass crowd, you know, and I could have an attitude where it's like, yo, I'm not pandering to this drunk ass crowd where I got to do what they want me to do. They start shouting stuff out. So you kind of deal with your environments and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't, you know, you just kind of, it's your job. You know, you gotta observe the crowd and kind of do your homework as the host goes up and does his thing and listen to what they're kind of hitting on and observe who's in the crowd and you know, you got to do your homework as a comedian. You know, it definitely, you want to serve more than just one demographic of people. You want, you know, the full spectrum of people of ages and definitely races. So, you know, pick and choose your material and you know, do your homework on your crowd. You know, check them out.
Okay, so who were your influences to get you into comedy?
Could say it was Eddie Murphy. It's probably one of the biggest. You know, probably like a lot of other comedians, Eddie Murphy. I just remember his stand-up was just so polarizing with the red leather. I'm talking about Delirious. You know, that's the first one I've seen, and I had to be at least, I don't know, probably no more than 10 years old watching that. Probably had no business watching that at all.
Oh,
but
we none of us did because we all started young watching it.
I was sneaking. I was watching it from on the steps through the railing, and my mother was watching it with my uncle and everybody watching it, and they're laughing and stuff like that. So I can say Eddie Murphy is a huge influence, and I can also say Bill Cosby coming up as well. I mean, Bill Cosby is he's one of the greats. You know, Bill Cosby himself, I think, is probably one of the best stand-ups, clean stand-ups out there, where he's just out there telling stories and painting a picture of family life and without using any kind of profanity, just being really expressive and choosing his words and finding that common thread between everybody. You know, that like he had a common thread that everybody can identify to with his stories and how he delivered them. That's like ultimate to me. You know, Bill Cosby, besides the pill dropping, what Bill was doing, it's kind of wild. But his comedy is just like, it's top. So those are two people I could say that probably inspired me the most growing up as a youngster. But then coming up in the game, you start to open up to other comedians. Of course, Chris Rock, one of them, Dave Chappelle, Chris Tucker, Martin Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. That whole Def Comedy Jam era.
Yeah, that whole Def Comedy Jam era. And even shout out to Bob Sumner, who was also very pivotal in that Def Comedy Jam era and bringing that to light too. With Bill Bellamy and Mike Epps and all those guys filtering through Jersey. You got brothers like Talent, and Talent's one of those brothers that I used to, Talent Harris from Mount Vernon. So Talent's one of those brothers who's been funny for as long as I can remember. And I used to go to New York to this place called the Boston Comedy Club, which was in a loft on top of a firehouse on West 3rd Street down in the Village. And Talent used to host that with Will Sylvans on Sundays. And this is way before I even got into comedy. I used to go out there religiously every Sundays with my partners. And we would sit on the left side of the stage and just sit there for a 2-hour, 3-hour show. We would see acts come through that was just like, we would see JB Smooth, before he was JB Smooth, Tracy Morgan, before they blew up. Chappelle came through a couple of times. Mike Epps came through a couple of times. It was one of those places where people were out there really getting their grind on. And this was like the raw spots. It wasn't any mainstream type of room. It was like a real underground, black room. And it was the dopest time ever, and I think that was also another influence that kind of catapulted me or had me admiring the craft even more so. Even Gerald Kelly, he was there. Who else? There's so many other comedians that was just there that's popping into my head. But all that just kind of played a part into funneling me into this world of comedy and just admiring not only the huge names of the greats, that we named, like the Bernie Macs and the D.L. Hughley's and the Bill Burrs and the Patrice O'Neills, rest in peace, and all that stuff. Is also people that I work with closely who don't have the giant, huge names yet, who I really admire. Like a Kareem Green, like a Brooklyn Mike, like a CJ Cracks or a Ray Gibbs or a Chanel Ali. It's these folks out here that are on the lower levels breaking their bones, you know what I mean, and making their names known, and they're all inspiring to me, and I appreciate all of them, and very thankful to share a stage anytime I get with any of them.
That's what's up. So how hard is it, or is it hard to try not to tiptoe across the line of offending people? Because I always look at comedy as just a freedom of speech. Anything goes. If you get offended, you get offended. But you can't, not everybody feels that way, especially today with cancel culture and everybody being quote unquote woke. And it's like, is it hard for you to filter your material, to try to fit these people without trying to offend anybody?
Not really. I mean, personally, my material, not really, because the stuff I talk about, I don't think it can offend. I try to make it so it doesn't really get on anybody and offend them too much. But at a point, there are some things I will say, and I try to be mindful of everybody's, feelings, and try not to be blatantly, offensive or, blatantly racist, or just some shit where you're just like, damn, nigga, like, wow, you could have put some better thought into it than that. But it comes a point where if it's sacrificing the way you want your message to come across, then you got to just, say the hell with it and say it. You're going to have people that's going to be offended by whatever you say, regardless, if it's good or bad. If either you're in agreement or you're not in agreement with it, people are going to be on the opposing side. I try not to allow that to dictate what I'm talking about. If I get into some material and I can see where it's kind of swaying the crowd into an area where I might have difficulty winning them back, And yeah, on the fly, I'll tweak it and change it up. I'll tweak it and change it up. That's just observing. But I never been in a position where people have been totally offended by what I've said. And I try to tell the comedians that do say stuff that's really offensive. And I tell them, like, if you feel it and you can stand on what you're saying, then go ahead and say it. And if it's funny, then absolutely. I understand people are going to get offended, but I find stuff that's funny. That sometimes the most offensive shit is funny as hell. So, and it's sometimes
a perfect example.
Yeah, she's the perfect example, and it rides the same lane. It rides the same lane as the truth as well. There's a lot of truth in the stuff that's funny and offensive. So, it's almost like that the audience has to be a little bit more open-minded to it and understand that these are people just expressing ideas and also, like you said, freedom of speech. So I don't get wrapped up in people that just get offended. If they get offended with my shit, then damn, nigga, I really don't know what I said to offend you, because I'm really not that type of offensive comic. I can be, but I don't think I have that material where people are getting up and just leaving. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe he said that about the children, and just left. No, I don't think so. But I think we all have the opportunity to say some really offensive shit and kind of, throw the boat off course. But that's not what I go out to do. I try not to go out with the most offensive but funny stuff. If it comes out a little bit offensive and it's funny and it ties in the point that I'm trying to make, then my mission is accomplished. It's up to you to kind of absorb it and enjoy it if you like it. If you don't, then oh well. Hope you like the next joke. That's it.
So I also read in your bio too, which I think is pretty nice of you, pretty awesome of you, is that you actually have performed, like you actually went out and you did your comedy routines in prisons.
Yeah.
So how did that come about, and what made you decide to do that?
I was presented with the opportunity to go and tour these prisons under another umbrella with another comedian who was coordinating several jail visits or prison visits in Pennsylvania. And then I went ahead and kind of went forward and continued a tour of doing the prison shows with a couple of brothers. And, it just became more rewarding to see some form of rehabilitation through laughter, given, these brothers that are in there doing this time, a break from what they're going through, regardless of, the crime or whatever. A punishment is a punishment. They're serving their time. They're paying a debt to society. But if this is really going to be some kind of rehabilitation, let's give them something else. Let's add something else and kind of lift their spirits a little bit and give them that break for an hour and a half or 2 hours. So that really what was my driving force to do it, is to say, you know what, let's do something for these brothers. And also it's a challenge for us as well to do material and go into a prison, and you have certain guidelines, you got certain rules and certain things you can say and can't say. So it's a very strict environment, and it's, rightfully so. You understand it's a prison, people are in there for some heinous crimes. I hate to say it like that. Some people in there that probably need to be up in that motherfucker, but it was a lot of people that were probably in there that just got, the short end of the gavel, and they're doing time, and just, they think that people forgot about them, and they're just, days are dark in the prisons, man. So to even give them that little bit of laughter and interact with them after the shows, a lot of these brothers like, yo, man, this really lifted our spirits up. We'll be talking about this for months, we'll be talking about this for years, or when y'all coming back. So that right there was more rewarding, to getting paid for an event, but actually seeing the interaction and seeing their faces light up for that little bit. And then they interacting with you. They want to crack on my hairline and all this other stuff. And we're going back and forth, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. I just want to lift people's spirits. And if we can give you that break for an hour and a half, then mission accomplished, and we've made return visits to some of these prisons. and the crowds have gotten bigger. You know, I'm talking about we're performing in a gymnasium, and you sign up for these activities. So you can have about maybe 200 in some of these prisons, where you have 200 people sitting in the gym, just sitting in bleachers, and you just stand in the middle of the floor with a microphone, and you got the correctional officers just hanging out, and you just making the whole bleachers just laugh, crack up, have a good time. You know, and then you go back the second time a couple months later, then it's 300, you know, or almost 400. It's more in attendance. So the buzz is getting around, and, you know, people want to get out and do something else other than, you know, being cooped up in their cell or lifting or whatever activity they're doing. They're like, you know what, let's check out this comedy show. And, you know, it's sad. It's sad at the same time, because there's a lot of faces that look like your cousins, your uncles, your friends. And, you know, I just wanted to make it a point where, you know, they're not forgotten about. And, you know, if we can provide a little bit of laughter, you know, during your bid, then so be it, man. I hope you enjoy it. And I ran into a brother that was doing some time in Chester, Pennsylvania, in one of the SCIs. He saw me at a show at the Weed Man in New Jersey, and he was like, "Man, I remember you. You was doing this, that," and he was recalling my jokes, and I was like, "Wow!" So that right there was the reward. You know what I'm saying? That's what you do it for. You like, wow. So that brother, it took him away for a minute. You know what I mean? When I was there for that time, he remembered. You know what I mean? I made an impact. I made a difference. I touched his brother's soul in a way where he just remembered me and he enjoyed it. So I was like, wow, that right there is rewarding. And that was more of, you know, the thing like, yo, we should make another return visit. So we made like 2 trips, you know, going to the prisons, and it was a lot of fun. It's 36 prisons. We did about 32.
Oh, nice. So you hope to do a lot more in the future?
Yeah, we're looking to try to go back and do a lot more. I mean, it's gotten more strict ever since after COVID. Yeah, I should say it got more strict, and you know, they're tightening up on their security and their visitation things. But we're going to work some things out with a couple of other prisons that want to cooperate.
All right, that's cool. Do you hope to transition? I don't know if you did, because I didn't read this in the bio or anything. But do you hope to transition comedy maybe into possibly acting? Maybe get into a couple movies, a couple TV shows, possibly.
I would like to. You know, I'm also, you know, open for that. You know, I go on a few auditions here and there. Nothing's popped up yet, but yeah, I'm definitely open to do some acting. You know, yeah, love to do some more camera work.
If you could perform on stage, let's just say if you're an opening act for now, right? Because you'll be a headliner one day, and when you do, I'll go there and I'll be like, that's the guy that cut ass for me. I ain't forget. But it's also the guy that let me interview him too. So you know, that gave me a start somewhere. So, but if you can past the present, or even future, because you know comedians now, if you can do a tour, like a Kings of Comedy tour,
yeah,
who would be your? I'm gonna say you and 4 other comedians, past, present, or future. If you could pick to go with four comedians.
What, just to perform with?
Yes.
Oh shit, nigga, I don't even know. That'd be crazy.
Like, it would be Ty Raney,
yeah,
and this guy, that guy, or maybe that female, that.
Wow, I don't know. It'd be so crazy. I think I'd put together a horrible show, because the comedians I like, they're so different from my style. Like, I like Corey Holcomb. And if you know anything about Corey Holcomb, he's
that boy's
totally
controversial. Yeah, he's very controversial, especially over the last year. Especially over the last year. Oh, man, yeah.
He gonna say something offensive, but he gonna say something that ruffles feathers. But that's Corey. So I'd probably put Corey on the show. I'd probably I put Corey Holcomb on the show. I like Bill Burr. I'm a big fan of him. I'd probably go with Kevin, and I have to go with I need a woman on the show. Probably some more.
Well, I don't know why I had a feeling that's where you were gonna go with that one.
Yeah, probably some more. You know what? Recently, I just seen her stand up, and I really liked it. Thought she did a really good job. Yeah, and she's from Jersey. I'm gonna give her that. Yeah, probably some more. You know, there's a lot of comedians, man. You know, Godfrey. I don't know. There's a lot of people out there that I really like performing with, that I wouldn't mind going on tour with. There's a lot of cats out there, man.
Top 3 all-time stand-up.
Oh, stand-ups to watch? Probably
Mm-hmm.
Patrice O'Neal, Elephant in the Room.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you know what I gotta say, Ali Sadiq. He got a YouTube special out. The first part and the second part, I like them both. I don't want them to take up 2 and 3, but those could be together. That's a strong one right now. That's a great stand-up he got out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? I gotta say my man Kevin, man. Kevin and then Dave, you know. I gotta say Kev, because Kevin gave me the opportunity, man. He gave me my first TV credit. And I got it. And you know what? On top of that, man, Kevin is he's an honest, nice guy, man. He's a really good dude. You know, even meeting him in that quick little interaction, he's a real genuinely nice person, you know, and he's used his platform for good for everyone. He's given a lot of people opportunity. So I definitely can't give him enough praise. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely those brothers there. Chappelle, yeah. Chris, I'd probably have to throw Chris in there. Yeah. You know, the usual suspects, those guys.
All right, so I got 2 more questions before we wrap it up.
Sure, go ahead.
First question is, what advice would you give someone who wants to get into comedy?
What advice? Don't make a fucking stupid ass stage name. I mean, it's a lot of fucking stage names. I'm sorry to even curse. I curse it because it'll be in the morning.
Listen, I mean, listen. It said the podcast does have uncut in it, so I guess
it is uncut. Well, shit, I've been trying to reserve myself for the church crowd because it's an early morning podcast too. People going to work. Yeah. But yeah, don't
church people party on Saturday nights. I'm just saying
they do. They multitasking now. Mm-hmm. But you know, yeah, just watch the goofy ass names. I came out using my screen, my Xbox screen name, which is Minty Jackson. It was stupid as hell.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know. It was a name that my wife and I made up one morning in the bed. It was just stupid. We didn't even married then. We were dating, being heathens, just sleeping together, just being heathens, splitting rent. But yeah, I would just say, just figure out a name, use your own name, and you know, keep working on material. You know, just keep working on your craft. You know, network with other people, move around a lot. If you have access to the city, get into Midtown, get in the city and do your thing and get around some mics and get around like-minded comics. And that's my only advice. And don't use a goofy ass name, because sometimes when they even sign a list and you got a goofy ass name, they're like, who's this goofy ass name, nigga? You know, so unless you're funny as hell, you can have a goofy ass name. But when you're first starting out, sometimes you're not that funny and your goofy ass name kind of precedes you. You know what I mean? So
I mean, some of the greatest comics use their regular names. Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart. You don't really have to do too much. Like, your own talent will stand out far more than your name ever will.
It will. And then it gets strange when people actually start calling you for shows and they're calling you Minty Jackson, which was my name.
You get a phone call like, hey, can I speak to Minty Jackson?
Yo, what the hell is that about? Right? That's the craziest name. So I scrapped that early in my career. I maybe was 3 years in. I said, you know what? I need to just go by Ty Raney. But that was also just a way of trying to kind of separate yourself from the identity on stage when you're trying to figure it all out. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm going to be Minty Jackson on stage, which is like an alter ego of Ty Raney. And I'm going to say some wild shit. And I'm going to say, no. It's whether you say some wild shit or not, you're still who you are. Whether you're Minty Jackson, I'm still Ty Raney. Whether I go by Minty Jackson or whatever, it's still like, yo, that's Ty. So I just scrapped all that and was like, man, let's just try to get people to laugh. That's about it.
Listen, from one side to another, I understand.
You got
it. I get it. And okay, so I usually ask every guest this last question.
Okay.
What would you, at your age now, tell your teenage self?
Fuck bitches, get money.
Yes, I mean,
look right in the camera, like
yo, with the
bitches,
most
get
serious look.
No, I don't know what I would get. I don't know, man. I'd probably tell my teenage self, you don't need braids and none of that shit, man. You don't need no cornrows. You don't need none of that, man. You don't need no fancy parts. Because you see what happens when your hairline, you ruined your future. That's
I
what
once
I'll
had
tell
braids,
my
man.
self. You once had braids,
I
right?
once had braids.
Yeah, cornrows. Huh?
Once had cornrows. Yes.
And how late in life were you wearing these cornrows, bro?
24.
24. That's the cutoff. We
Yep.
should have stopped.
I went and cut it. I went and cut my hair off.
Yeah.
And when I went to grow it back, it never grew back in the middle.
You see, I'm growing stuff in the middle. It's just the front. This is like beachfront property. It's like erosion. The water just washing the shore away, but it's okay. So that's all I'm.
You have more hair than
Excuse me.
You have more hair than I do. So.
Hey man, you probably got a good hat collection though, right?
I had to.
See,
I forced myself to.
See,
it was bad at one point. I was so self-conscious about this baldy when I first got it at 25. Now that I'm 41, I'm comfortable. But at that point, the shadow made it look like I had an egghead. It just did not work out for me at all. I think my shadow was playing tricks on me, and I was just like, this might not be a good idea. But then, eventually my eyes stopped playing tricks.
Yeah.
My shadow grew into my baldy, and, the rest is history.
See, and I don't even know nothing about the shadow growing into the baldy, man. I just know if I cut my head, it's just gonna be it ain't gonna be nice, man. My wife told me, she said, do not cut your hair. So I'm gonna leave it.
It's funny. My fiance tells me never to grow mine back. So look, see, there you go.
We on two different sides of the spectrum. You see how that works? But you still got harmony at home. That's all you need. Harmony.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters, brother.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you for being my guest. I greatly appreciate it. Truly humbled to have you. Most definitely. Thank you once again.
Thanks for having me, Rel. I appreciate you hitting me up, having me, man. Shit.
I appreciate you responding back, man. Thanks. You could have looked at me like, who is this loser? And I
who's this dude? Who's this only child dude?
Who's this only child? I picked him out with.
Nah, man, appreciate it though. Thank you, brother.
No problem. But before we go, where can people find you?
You can find me. I have a website. It's www.tyraney.com. Spelled just how it's spelled on the screen. TYRANEY. That's my website. And also you can find me on social media at comedian Ty Raney. Comedian and Ty Raney spelled like my name at the bottom of the screen, scrolling by TYRANEY. So check me out on all social media platforms. It is going to be my name. It's not going to be that name I started with, not at all. But it's going to be.
Remember, guys,
Minty Jackson. Minty Jackson 1 on Xbox if you want that work on 2K or something like that.
Oh, okay, all right. So when you get that friend request in a few, you understand where it's coming from.
You let me know. I play Xbox, so you let me know.
So do I. We don't do PlayStations over here. Sorry.
Nah, I stopped at the PS2. So
thank God. Thank God. So you're safe. Thank God. All right, man. You enjoy the rest of your time, man.
You too. Thanks for having me, Rel. Appreciate it.
No problem, brother.
Bro, this is raw and uncut. Bro, serving them raw and